The music was different, so I was kind of feeling it there for a moment. Also, let me change my background really quick. This is leftover from an episode that I recorded earlier today and already went live. If you have not seen it, episode 590 is out there. That was with Casey Young, who is the executive director with Stanislaus Regional 911, and you're just gonna have to check it out. There's so much to that episode, and it explains the rocket science thing back here. If you have seen the Kalnina statement that's been on social media and everything and out there in the public, then you know what that's about. I recorded an episode with Casey today. It was phenomenal. It is already live. It's out there. Go check it out. And let me switch this really quick here. And no, not that. What the hell? Okay, here we go. We'll just go back to the regular screen. Jeez. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to another surprise. Straight up, the Dispatchers Roundtable, round number 42. It has been a few months or a little bit more since the last round, but we are going to be pushing these rounds every month, and been doing the Dispatchers Roundtable since actually 2014 was the first version of the Dispatchers Roundtable. And yeah, that was a long time ago. But this was established 2020 and has been going on ever since. So I've been doing this roundtable for years now, and it has been fun. Okay, let me bring up my guest today, because we are going to be talking about scholarships and so much other stuff. So, my guest today is the always awesome, as I see her down there smiling in her excellent white jacket. Now she's covering her face. She's going to be red when she comes up. The always awesome Dawn Shumway, and she is the one of the operations managers out at Ada County Sheriff's Office in Idaho.
Thanks. Yes. So I have a lot of fidget toys at my desk and I like to fidget. So if I'm playing with stuff in here or during this, be like, it's just Dawn and her brain and how it's working.
Oh,
Yes, because I'm so excited about this topic. So for those who don't know me, I'm also the president for APCO and Nina for Idaho. I do that in my spare time.
your spare time. Yeah.
I know. I'm flying out to DC tomorrow. And one of the things, yeah. So I'll be headed to 9-1 goes to Washington. People,
Yeah.
yes, exciting. People ask me, they're like, Dawn, how do you do some of these things? And people don't realize I actually this is what I do on my vacation days. I mean, Ricardo, but I take vacation days and, I try to help get sponsored or scholarships or so forth. I've been the scholarship winner of 2 scholarships before myself. Yes. And it is a great,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm still proud of it. As anyone who has, it's a lot of work putting these in. So be proud of that if you've gotten a scholarship. And it is a great way to further your career. It's helped me to get to where I am. I just want to address the googly eyes in the back. So some people may be like, are those shiny?
I didn't even notice until you said it.
I know. Those are my earthquake detectors. So that way, if they're bouncing, I know that there's an earthquake. Yeah. If the eyes are quaking, or if the eyes are shaking, the earth is quaking, is what it says on there.
I like it.
Yeah. So high tech stuff going on here. Anyways, my office is fun and filled with a lot of things like that. But let's get started about this. So there are so many scholarships out there, and it does make me sad when I'm like, people will be like, man, I can't, my agency, they don't allow me to go because they don't have enough funding. And I'm like, that's why this scholarship is for. Or maybe some people will say, I can't, I'm not allowed. I'm like, take vacation. Don't say what you're for. Mark those days off, like for the time, put it in advance already. They can't tell you what you can do and can't do like on your off duty time, right? You're allowed to. I mean, that would be wild. Like you really, like if they really were like, you're grounded, you can't go to these things. I mean, and at that point, I would challenge it like even further if they were trying to limit you. Not, wouldn't that be weird? Like you can't pursue education. You could go further with that. I mean, if people really wanted to limit your ability to learn. So there are so many great things. One of the scholarships, I'm going to just drop them in the comments.
Sure.
Um, I think that'll be the best place. All right, so we have right now, it's live, is the Fitch EMS Foundation. And a lot of people don't know about this. For those who do medical, this is such a great scholarship platform. And they have leadership classes and different things that they do as well. And so these scholarships are live until March 15th. So when Ricardo and I were trying to set this up, we wanted to do this at a time to try to catch you guys at maybe a time where you guys could put in for these, but also balancing our own lives and other things as well. So while some scholarships have closed, that you might have seen, whether it was with the Nina, so Nina had their gold line and stuff that might be popular. Maybe you saw Firework or different things like that. Those are closed, but there's a lot that's open, and that's what we're going to focus on. So we have, and then even one of APCO's, it closed, but there's so many. So this one, the Fitch EMS Foundation, it does a lot of stuff. So just hop onto this page. It closes March 15th. Most of the time when a scholarship closes, it will close Eastern time. So that's fine for Ricardo, but for those on my side of on the west, out in the west, make sure you don't procrastinate. Dispatchers are the worst at that, where they procrastinate. Okay. One of the things that I'm excited for that Nina is doing, it's the Diversity 911 Leadership Program. So I haven't seen them do this scholarship before. I think this is really great. So I just dropped that link for that one. It says that the window will open spring 2025. So it's still winter if people didn't know. I don't know, like I'm cold here, but if other people didn't know that it's cold still.
Yeah, it's still cold. Also, really quick, Josie with Latinas of 911 says hello to the both of us. So hello, Josie.
Hello. I like that. Thanks for coming. Hey, look. And all right, so now this is the so I just dropped in the scholarship. Sorry, this one, so the CPE, this one closed. Okay, and it closed February 17th. So if you're like, gosh, I really want to get into that one, that's the Certified Public Safety Executive Program. That one ends so that one just ended February 17th. But this one, the RPL, so that one I'm just so that you guys can save the date for that one. This is for the and this is online. So the RPL one for online, I like that. This is for APCO. So for those who are like, hey, I want to get my registered the public safety leader, my application in. This one's open until March 1st. So you still have a window with this one. And so I just dropped that link in for the RPL, the Registered Public Safety Leaders Program. Okay. So this one's open till March 1st. So have your application in. Some of them have requirements, not all of them, but most of the time you're going to need a fresh resume with any scholarship that you're putting in. So fresh resume. So, and that's always good to have anyways. And then their general scholarships are open until April 1st. So for those who are like, well, this is a lot of pressure, you can put in for this one. This is one of the ones that I won. It was just a general scholarship. I really like that one because you can use it for, it will give you some funds that you can use for APCO or so forth. Like if you want to go to the conference. And maybe you're just trying to get your foot out in the door as far as that goes, and you're personally paying your way. It's a great way to lift it as far as that. But also if you're like, hey, I don't want to use it for that, you can use some of the funds to attend one of their online scholarships, right? Okay.
So hold on, really quick, as you're blowing through all of these. The one that you mentioned just now that you actually experienced yourself, what were some of the benefits and your kind of an overview of your experience as well for those who are watching and listening for that one specifically?
Yeah, so sometimes, so like the Nina Gold Line Scholarship, that one's great. And we talked about how that one just closed. And that one had, like, you had to have never attended a Nina conference before. So it has like great lift. It's supposed to be for that new crew. So one thing that I like with the APCO scholarship, so one that you're talking about, is that I had applied for it and won. And then I was like, I like that. I want to do it again. So I did. And I would love that I could apply for it a second time. There's not often times that you can apply for a scholarship again and then get it again. And I got it again. So yeah, isn't that cool?
That
So
is pretty awesome.
because I was like, I still want to learn. I still want to learn. There's so much to learn when it comes to 911, especially so at my centers, all the centers I've worked at, we do police, fire, and medical. There's a lot. We're expected to do a lot. And at my current center right now, we processed over 500,000 calls last year. So we do a lot of calls. Yeah, that's a lot of calls. And I want to be my best for every single call, right? And so I'm not going to wait for my agency maybe to give me some of the training that I need. If I feel like, man, I could use some more training in this area, you can go be empowered enough to go seek it out. And that was what was cool about this one. When I used my scholarships, one of them was online. I did choose to do online stuff because I had a new baby at home. So I was like, I want to be home. I don't want to try to pump and be at a conference and like all that stuff. I was nursing, and that's all
Yeah,
right. And if you do that, go do it. Hey,
right, exactly.
my class,
Yes,
you know, like I would care if somebody was pumping in my class. But anyways, and so, but I just enjoy being able to do it on my own time, So there's a benefit to be able to do that. Like I love all trainings, and so I was able to do that, and I wanted to get more active shooter training, and so I actually enrolled in that. And then the other thing that I ended up using the remaining funds for was to increase my ability to be a CTO. So I went through a higher CTO tier class, which I did enjoy. So, anyways, and things change and different stuff, and so just seek out like maybe go look at like what are some classes that you want to go to, or maybe that, and then see what they have to offer there. But really, don't just like I missed this one. This is the only one. I've seen people. It was Erica Lakey. She had like put in a lot. She had to like give some back. She was like, "Oh, I won them all." Yeah, well, imagine. And so that's what when I say that not enough people are putting in for them, I mean it. Not enough people are putting in for them. And
for
the
sure.
and seriously, I mean, like you don't
Why
have
do you
any.
think that is?
I
Sorry,
think
I didn't mean to jump in, but I just like,
oh,
why do you think that is? That people is it just like, "Ah, I'm never gonna get it. Why even bother?" Or, work is probably just gonna keep me anyway. Like, what do you think are those some of those reasons?
dispatch suffers from like. Well, I mean, like, why would I be picked? I mean, like, what's special about me? Like, what's different about me? I'm just. How many times have you heard someone, I'm just a dispatcher. I'm just like everyone else. That
Yes.
just, oh, yeah. Yeah. And so that piece where it's like, no, like, and some people are like, well, I just work at a small center. So if you are using any justifications, see what where you're using that word just,
Ah,
that,
well done. That
yeah,
was
that was,
that was
yeah.
good. That was
So if
good.
you have those justifications, then just eliminate it from your speech. And also, you're just thinking, your everyday thought thinking. And so I stopped thinking, man, I thought, wow, like I had positive visualization. I need to stop drinking so much caffeine. I apologize for those who are trying to keep up.
Can you imagine whoever's watching, like, on YouTube right now or LinkedIn with the captions? It's like, "Hold." The
As I drink
captions
more caffeine.
the captions are probably putting, like, unintelligible," like, we don't even know what she's saying. What I do wanna say really quick, though, Josie, as I mentioned, who's watching right now with Latinas of 911, she said, "I was able to get the EMP scholarship from Nina," and then was kind of answering what we were talking about, she goes, "People don't know about it, but platforms like this is good to be able to get the information out there," so thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, and that's why we wanted to talk about this as well. And right when we were about to go live, Dawn goes, "I've got all of this stuff that I want to go through." It's like awesome. Like this is going to be good because you've been there, you've been through it, and you have the information. Like for myself specifically, I never went for any of those scholarships because it wasn't until probably the last couple of years that I even found out that there was a Nina or an APCO, and I got to go. And then I was able to go to a national one for other reasons and stuff. But I eventually ended up, I think it was like 2016 or so. I started my own scholarship. Now I stopped that just after 2020 because there was a lot of other things that were going on. I want to bring it back, but just from my side of it. It was awesome to be able to try to give back. In Digital was a partner in that, and they were helping do that. So there was, it was a complimentary registration. It was, travel. Like there was a bunch that went to it, and it was cool setting it up because then I got to see all like it was a 1,000 word essay that people needed to do. And like some people would say, "Oh, I've never been to that city before," and we're like, "Oh, well, that's cool, like, but what else? Like, what's the other reason besides getting a free trip, you know?"
Um,
And, so, like, some of those essays would go to a committee that I had, and they would be the ones to pick. I couldn't be the one to do it, because I would wanna send everyone. So it was cool just from that end to see all of the stuff and all of the people sending this in and people that really wanted to go and to go to learn. So for you in your experience, I mean, what were some of the things that you had to do for those scholarships?
yeah, so I did have to write a big essay. And so with mine, and so I had my resume,
Mhm.
which we talked about. So resume, resume, resume. I actually am not seeing a scholarship out there that hasn't been asking for your resume. And if there is one, I mean, the 90% of the others are. So have your resume updated. And it was very much like, why? Why should we give this to you? And it wasn't because of your value, like you had to be great right now. It was, where do you want to go?
Yeah,
And that was the story that you needed to tell. You needed to tell, well, gosh, here's where I am, and but this is where I want to be. This is my dream. This is my hope. This is what I'm working towards. And this is why sending me, like, advocate for yourself. Like when I was training a lot, I was like, gosh, I am back to back to back to back to back to training, and this does two things. One, if I'm able to go, I'm able to get training for myself. Right now, I'm filling a lot of other people's buckets, and those who are trainers know this. And so, and then the other part was, but also the fact that I'm training so many people, man, if I was able to go and bring something back, look at how many other people I'm going to be able to spread that to.
right.
And so just, like obviously, Ricardo, I know you talk about this, about like telling your story, and how important it is, and championing that. And so basically that's what it is. Just be ready to do that. Don't, yeah, avoid the like, well, I've never been to that city, or my sister lives there and I love to visit her.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
because there's there's more to just getting a free
right.
trip, and what I remember from all of the people that applied for it was the Within the Trenches continuing education scholarship, the way that one was is like, it was all of the main, the national conferences. So, like, for the first one, someone got to go to the Navigator. The second one was Nina, and then the third one was ABCO, and it just went in a circle like that. And that was one of those things, was to have those essays and the people that were sharing their stories. And some of them were deep, like some of them really kind of rocked you, and you're like, man, this is the reason why this person ended up receiving it, because of what they're doing. One of the people who got the scholarship was Samantha Hawkins. She got it for 2020. Now things went to hell, everything got shut down, but then the year after, when conferences started opening up again, I honored it and made sure that she got to go to that one, and she's like, I remember her sending the message saying, really, we're still gonna do this?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "You received it." I said, "I've been holding on to it until you were able to go back," and she's doing amazing things. I mean, these scholarships open up so many
Doors. Yeah.
opportunities. So for you, continuing with that, like, what were some of the other opportunities that you've had the chance to do?
Yeah, so obviously, so let's say you apply and earn a scholarship. Now you're going to promote within your agency. Like, I'm not someone who clocks in, clocks out. Like, I'm not clocking in, clocking out. I'm going places, whether you're helping me go or I'm making my own way. And I think that one stood so loud for me. And so that's helped me break barriers and help get promotions, that maybe I normally wouldn't have got. I mean, here I am, like, I'm one of the managers for the biggest 911 center in Idaho. And it was hard work to get there, but I did it. But I showed people, like, I'm willing to do it. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not, and I'm not waiting here for someone to help, like, to give it to me. I'm going to make it happen. And I think that's what makes it so powerful. And so when people see that, I can't imagine an application on any form that people would be like, oh, they're a scholarship winner. You know, it stands out. And so what an impact it can be in that way as well. But also just like the takeaways, like it was, think of the personal investment. At the end of the day, that's who you're doing this for, right? It's not for a resume. You're not like, it's for you, because none of us want to be on that call being like, oh crap, what do I do? You know, and I always laugh at one of my calls. I think I told you the poor guy. So when I say poor guy, I better tell people so they don't panic. Hold on. Okay, let's give some context.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had this gentleman who had called 911, and he, you know, I asked 911, what's the address of the emergency? You know how it goes. They don't tell you an address. And he's like, my intestines are out. He goes, they're hanging to my knees. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so he had sneezed, and intestines came out. And I was like, where are they? But he had a surgical wound. It didn't come out another crevice. However, Google says that it can. Because obviously I went on a Google trip after that.
Right.
Right.
Go down the rabbit hole.
Right,
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole. But anyway, so he had a surgical wound that had burst when he had sneezed, and his intestines were out. And so I use priority dispatch EMD cards, and for those who do, you'll know that there's not a card there to help you. There's no card to help you for this.
Right.
Like, so imagine those situations where you're like, gosh, I didn't have anything to rely on for this. The more training that you can get, it creates your ability to be more adaptable. And that you're able to pivot, you're able to adjust, and you're able to say, okay, I haven't had this, but I can relate it to this, or I can experience this, or this is what I'm going to do. And so being more empowered, it's going to help you, and it creates that longevity in your own career, so that you can do your job and do it well, and then you can help your community better while doing it. It's just win-win-wins all the way around. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and, for, another scholarship winner that I know of, it wasn't for mine, it was for the, fireworks scholarship, Juliet Brown.
Yes.
Good friend. I was asking her about some of this, and so this was her response. She goes, "I thrive off scholarships. 911 is so underfunded that necessary training barely gets covered. Never mind the ones that you can build yourself from. Any opportunity to attend something at a reduced rate or free of charge is a huge opportunity for me." And she goes, "I think that sometimes it's not that the center doesn't want to send people. It's a lot of times it's because they just don't have the money to do it."
Absolutely. Yep. And so that's what it is. So watch out. So for that scholarship that she won, yeah, one of my team had just won that too. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for all of them. I am excited about some upcoming ones. And one thing is don't hesitate to call and follow up on a scholarship. Meaning, so I'm going to post one in the comments that we'll use for a talking piece. So this one, so this is the William McMurray Scholarship.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's when you scroll down, it says deadline March 31st, 2024. So for me, I'm like, gosh, either they have updated it, it could be live right now, you know, and maybe they haven't. So call them and say, hey, can I put in for this? But this is a scholarship right now, you know. So and they give it every year. So my guess is that they haven't updated it. So don't just be like, oh, it maybe doesn't exist. Don't make any assumptions as far as all this stuff. But I'm really excited. So go to these websites. But the biggest thing is go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn will populate a lot of different things. For instance, so the Kyle Plush Answer the Call Foundation. And so I dropped their website in the comments. So they often will do sponsorships. They're so pro 911. It's so
Mhm.
cool. It's so great that they are. So yeah, so Kyle's parents help advocate all the time. And they actually just sent, was it 4 or 5 that they sent to Be the Difference conference?
There was several, yeah, I don't know how many, for sure, but they did have several that were there.
And they like to use social media to do it. And I know recently Nina, and it was kind of last minute, but they had a 911 Goes to Washington scholarship. It happened so fast, like I didn't even see it, like in my while I was gone. And so, but that sometimes stuff has a real quick turnaround. So that's why you really do have to have your resume fresh. Don't wait until a scholarship's open. So work on that now. So let's say you don't have something, or something's not open, or it's not, you can work on this stuff now. work on like maybe, okay, I'm going to set up, like, here's my goals, here's my resume, here's this, a cover letter, get a few things freshed up. So then that way, when something comes open, then you're available to put in for it and quickly can. The more obstacles that we have to do something, the less likely we're to do it, right? And so if you
Right.
have something preset, ready to go, like your bio, all that stuff, like a photo of you, make a folder of, this is a folder for you to promote you, right? And Latinas of 91 does a good job of that, by the way. But yeah, so like, so let's say you have a folder that to promote you, all that stuff, then you can easily access it and pull from it. So you're not like searching for it or like, oh, I got to get this. Because the more obstacles, then you're like, oh, I'll get back to it, or I'll have to do it later. But then you're cooking dinner, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing all that stuff, and then never happens. And you're like, oh, I missed it. And I don't want you guys to miss it because it's really important for you and for your goals and all that stuff. But social
Yeah.
media, LinkedIn, and I know some people are like, "Ooh, I don't do social media." That's okay. But consider LinkedIn like a work forum.
Right.
So yeah, like I log into it at work, and just like you're checking your emails, you can check over that and be like, okay, what are the news updates with 911? And I have that, like, where I'm following that stuff. So, and follow those
That's a
platforms.
good idea to have a folder there and have everything ready, but also, as you're saying, to have a fresh resume, have it have it ready because you never know when you're gonna need it. And I wanna mention this one really quick. I'll put this one in the comments as well, as we are continuing to chat here. So this one really quick. This is actually one that I literally just saw before we went live. And Nina on LinkedIn put this one out. A friend of ours, Monica Million, was the one who reposted it, and that's how I saw it.
Oh yeah,
But it just I'll just read the top here really quick. It just says Nina is proud to offer the Women in 911 or Women or Win scholarships rather to the upcoming Nina 2025 conference and expo. So it lists everything on there on what you can get and what it comes with, but also checking to see how you're eligible and things that you have to do as you're putting in for that. So the link is there. Make sure to check that one out, and all of them, all the ones that
yeah.
Dawn has been talking about and everything here. And this round is going to be a shorter round because you've got to head out here pretty soon. You've got a meeting coming up, and I have one as well.
I know.
But we wanted to do this because it's really important for people to be able to put in for these scholarships and have these experiences because there are some folks out there that don't even know that any of this exists
Yeah.
and or that there's anything outside of the center when it comes to organizations, trainings, um, yeah, conferences, like all of that. Believe it or not, there are some folks that don't know. So, any last, I guess, remarks as we're going into the wrap up of this?
Yeah, so even our industry partners, make sure you follow them on LinkedIn as well. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't want to expand," or "I don't use that." I mean, you don't have to use it. So
Yeah.
Motorola, for instance, offered 5 scholarships for the Be the Difference conference. Yeah, so and they're doing that in other areas as well. So if you ever have the opportunity to talk to them, reach out, them, ask your vendor, and then nothing's against, like, I have straight up shook vendors down, our industry partners, for money when I needed it. So like, hey, would you be willing to help sponsor this local event? So, and something small, like, hey, can you help us grant like $500? We need to be able to secure like this, and this. Like, it'll help pay for the workbooks. It'll pay for this, and this, and we got a free facility. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'd be happy to support to do that. So there's always a way to think outside the box. But these scholarships are a really great opportunity. Follow them, your industry partners, on LinkedIn as well, because they're going to be posting those things that you may not see. And it doesn't have to be an industry partner, maybe that your center uses. So, anyways, yeah, this was hopefully a jam-packed 30-minute sesh
I
of a
know.
lot of yeah, that
So I just want to build on that really quick, what you said, but more so have you actually technically build on it because you told me a story about when you were helping put together an actual conference and you needed to do things and you were finding so many different ways to do stuff. Everybody who's watching and listening now, if you are looking for a way to put something together almost on the fly at the cheapest price, but also getting people to help out, like we were talking, industry partners. Dawn is your person.
absolutely.
Dawn is the one to do it. If you're trying to figure out how to put a conference on in a split second, Dawn is your person. I've had conversations with Dawn. She's badass. And if I was putting something together and I didn't know where to go, this is the person that I would go to. So for that specific instance that I'm talking about, you did reach out to industry partners, like you were kind of saying, but how did that work out?
Yeah, so I'll tell you quickly. So two things. So one, if you guys want to know, be like ask Julie. She's with Utah with the NINA. She's the NINA president,
Mhm.
and she's hosting the wellness conference that's coming up next month. You guys should go. But anyways, she was needing some funding for that, I was like, oh my gosh, here, look no further. So like Select Health, their insurance company based in Utah. I go right now. They have $5,000 funding that they're giving out to like 25 people or so forth for nonprofits. You're a nonprofit, so help join your local NINA or APCO board, or like mine where it's joint because Idaho's smaller, and
Mhm.
that creates a platform. So while I was in Utah, I was on the APCO board, and we needed to be able to create a funding. And so it's nice being a nonprofit. So I said, hey, would you be willing to help donate this? And yeah, I reached out to two places, one of them being Rapid SOS, and they're so great. And so they offered to help, and the others was Evans. Evans had helped with that one. And so they each did $500. And I went to a nonprofit that had a facility. I said, can we borrow your facility from one nonprofit to another? And they said, yes. Yeah. So for those in Utah, so it was at the Thanksgiving Point area, which is really great. They like host weddings and they have venues and stuff there. So yeah, it was really great. And then so then with the funding that I was able to get, then it would help cover the cost that we needed to help run it, as far as like if you need workbooks, if you need anything else, and help cover the cost for if there was anything we had, because we had to buy, there was like a food thing that we're like, okay, but we need to require this for food. But anyway, so then we got to put on this really awesome 2-day event with only $1,000, like food covered. Yeah, we did really good.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
and we just asked, like, and even we would ask like, hey, would you be willing to do that? And part of it is like getting having that nonprofit umbrella to help, and then just asking. But people were happy, so for them to put $500 to help towards it was great. And then they had a chance to be like, hey, can you, for 15 minutes, can you tell us about your product? Or 30 minutes. It gives them an opportunity to do that, like over lunch while we eat. Can you talk to us about this? So you can kind of shift it away, so it's a win-win for everyone. But making it work with your resources, man. Yeah. And so so don't limit yourself just to 911 resources. You can get out, like, think of things like our local Shields donates, for instance, to stuff. So just ask. Worst thing they're gonna do is say no.
There you go. Exactly. And the answer will always be no, unless you ask,
You
which
know, 100%
Keely,
of the shots you don't take.
Keely, if you're watching, that was to you. I say that because she said that to me the other day, and I was like, "Thanks, mom."
Yeah, that's so funny.
All right. Well, that is it for round number 42. We will be back with round 43 coming up. And if you guys have any comments or questions, you can email us, and that's going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. There it is right there on the screen. The easiest way to find everything is to simply go to links.co/WTT podcast. You'll find everything there. This broadcast sponsored by InDigital, Leader Next Gen Core Services. And again, check out all of this stuff. Dawn, thank you very much for everything. And this was fun. This was a lot of fun, as always. And we will see you all in the next one. Actually, let me say this really quick. This can be seen on all platforms. And then if you are part of the community, just go to, again, links.co/WTT podcast. There is a link there to go to the community. Every single round of the Dispatchers Roundtable is there now. I'll be adding number 42, and the rest going on till whenever. They will all be there. You can watch them 24/7. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you all in the next round.
I got
Woo!
Thanks in digital.
Yeah.